Good morning, everyone. Today we will discuss about the introduction of Jose Rizal's life and works that happened in the 19th century. Yes, you heard it right, in the 19th century, meaning we are going to study his history. What comes into your mind when you hear the word history? Some of you might say it is a record or events of the past or simply the study of the past. And yes, you are right. It comes from the Latin word historia, which means inquiry or investigation, meaning you are going to search for a fact information. Doing a history is like completing a puzzle or solving a mystery. Imagine asking a question about the past. You are going to assemble a set of clues through the use of documents, artifacts, and other sources. Then you will combine them together or piecing those clues together to tell you a story, and boom, your questions will be answered. Now we are going to discuss about the elements of history. The first one is as a branch of social science or the study of human society and social relationships such as economics and politics. Under the branch of social science, we have physical science or the study of non-living things including chemistry, geology, astronomy, and physics. The second one is the natural science or the study of life sciences such as study of plants or the botany, and zoology, the study of animals. The third one is the social science, the study of human society and social relationship. Now, what is the importance of science in our life? We can generate solutions for everyday life and help us to answer great mysteries of universe. In other words, science is one of the most important channels of knowledge. It must drive our pursuit of more equitable and sustainable development. Aside from that, doing history and study science helps us know the origin of life. The second element of history is the study of the past. We need to study the past because history records the past as chain of events right till the present time. Our present is shaped by the events of the past. The past has a lot of effect on how the world around us exists at present. By doing a history about Jose Rizal, what they did to achieve our freedom will help us to understand the importance of a free country from a slave one. To understand their will to fight for our freedom, we must know first their history. The third element of history is the relation to the present and the future. We quoted that the past is determined and the present is the moment of becoming when events become determined and the future is as yet undetermined. Meaning our past, present, and future are intimately linked together by our memories. And based on our observation, Rizal's life and works and thoughts are still relevant today. They had a great impact to mold us, especially the youth. And it also awakens our patriotism or our love for our country. Next, we will discuss about the sources of history. Sources is a place, person, or thing from which something comes or can be obtained. The first one is the primary sources. Or from the word itself, it is the main source or original copy or the first on-hand accounts of a topic from people who had a direct connection with it or actual records that have survived from the past. I printed a copy of a first-hand diary of someone in 1918, and a letter from in the year 1946. Then the second sources or the second-hand sources they were created by someone who did not experience first-hand or participate in the events. The second sources interprets and analyze primary sources. Under the second sources, we had the published and non-published materials. Published materials are any materials that can be distributed. An example of published materials are course books, skills books, readers, reference, resource books, videos, and calls. I also added the tertiary sources, or those sources which consist of information or a collection of primary and secondary sources. We have bibliographies, chronologies, directories, dictionaries and encyclopedia, fact books, indexes and abstracts, manuals, guidebooks, and textbooks. Now, historical documentation are original documents that contain important historical information about a person, place, or event and can thus serve as primary sources as important ingredients of the historical methodology. Therefore, we must focus on the documentary evidences than sabi-sabi. In writing history, we have primary evidences including letters, birth and death certificates, voice recordings, paintings, and even court records. In historical methodology, it is the collection of techniques and guidelines that historians use to research and write histories of the past. Historiography is the process of writing historical details. It has a big help for us to understand that societal, political, and economic and other issues may alter the recording of history over time. Let's proceed to historical imagination. It is putting yourself in the picture or writing using your imagination. For example, when you are reading a story, you imagine yourself to be the main character in order for that person to know what he will do to survive. Now, dimensions of history. The first one is place or geographical dimension. It is really important to know the location or event in history. The example stated here is the Battle of Waterloo, wherein Napoleon fought against the Prussians. They missed to consider the climate of country, which was winter, and that is the biggest factor why he lost the historic Napoleonic War. In doing history background, it is really necessary to consider the location or geographical surface of an event for us to understand the other side of the participant, just like why Napoleon lost the battle. The second dimension of history is the time or chronological dimension. It is the arrangement of things following one after another in time. So, time is very important to consider in studying history. And we have three important dating in history. The first one is ancient period, wherein it's all about man's existence and civilization from 6000 BCE to 650 CE. The second one is the medieval period or age of faith, wherein man learned to value faith and education. The third period is the modern period. Man discovered and learned the essence of technology as well as how to harmonize his works with the environment. It is the period from Enlightenment in the 18th century until today. Studying history about Jose Rizal's life in the 19th century gives more emphasis on how Filipino fought during those times of struggle, such as the propaganda movement. As I read this chapter, it motivates me to know more about Jose Rizal. The knowledge and information I gained during elementary and high school days about Rizal is not enough to understand the other side of the participant. So studying the history of Rizal allows us to understand our past, which in turn allows us to understand our present. It can provide us with insight into our cultures of origin as well as cultures with which we might be less familiar to increase cross-cultural awareness and understanding. Because to understand the present, we must study and understand the past.